Okay, so I'm a bit of a fan of Seagull Outboard engines. I like them for a whole host of reasons, and I'm going to come on to that at another time and maybe do a video comparing Seagulls with other more modern engines. But one of the big problems with Seagulls that people find is there's limited range, which is constrained by the size of the tank. As you'll know, with a lot of more modern outboards, you get the option to run an external fuel tank and things like that, and therefore carry more fuel and not have to run the risk of trying to clamber around on the stern of a boat that's bobbing around trying to fill up the tank, which I'm sure anybody who's ever used a Seagull will be they'll be well familiar with that scenario. So anyway, I'm currently locked down at the minute, as so many of other people are, and I thought just as a little project I would have a go at fitting an external fuel tank to my Seagull. Now the way I've decided to do this, because I've got a couple of different Seagulls, is to utilise a old fuel cap. Now the advantage of that was that it will allow me to transfer the fuel cap between different engines, because as I'm sure you know, Seagulls are very interchangeable with their parts, and every engine that they do, or certainly all the ones that I've got, use the same size fuel cap. So what we're going to do, this is the plan, is I'm going to remove the air intake bleed screw. As you can see, that just screws out there once you've removed the spring. Now what that gives us is, let's see if we can see that, a brass bush in there, and you can just about make out the little up there somewhere. Everything's backwards. There we go. Up in that corner there's the corner of a round thing. Right. There's a little air inlet anyway, and that lets the air in to let the fuel drop down, because what we've got is a gravity feed situation. Now the Seagulls, as you know, don't have a fuel pump, so that in itself presents a little bit of a problem. So my plan is to utilise this drill bit, drop a 12.8mm hole through there, so basically just widening that one up. I'll then tap that out to 1/4 inch BSP, which is standard pipe thread, using a tap. Then hopefully, this is the clever bit, I'm going to use this, which is a remote fuel adapter. I think it's off a Tohatsu or a Suzuki outboard. So anyway, it's a two-part thing, two bits just clipped together like that. The idea being that this part will screw into the top of the fuel cap, like that. This part will then attach to the hose from my remote fuel tank. There'll be a bulb on it, and an inline bulb pump in the hose. I can have that mounted on the Seagull on the stern of the boat, and I'm going along. I should be able to give it a few squeezes and fill up the Seagull's tank as I'm going along, hopefully without even needing to stop the engine. The only slight issue that I might have, as far as I can see, is that tiny hole that I showed you before, and that I need to make sure that that isn't obstructed in any way, because that would stop that working altogether. So anyway, the first job is to drill and tap the hole in the fuel cap, so we'll see how that goes. Okay, so as you can see, I've drilled that out now to well, I think it's 11.8 millimeters, so it's just under the size I need for my my tap. So the next job is to tap that out to 1/4 inch British standard pipe using a tap. So that's gone out. That's given me a nice clean thread in there, so that can come out of the vise. We all need our little vices. Not sure if you can see that. No, I don't think you can, but anyway, nice thread in there, and hopefully our should just screw in there nicely, perfectly, like that. There's a bit of swarf in there, let's clean that out, otherwise it'll end up in my carburetor. What we should have now is a modified fuel cap, and if you look inside there you'll see that you can just see the base of that adapter there, it's sitting through pretty squarely and it hasn't chipped off any of the Bakelite, and we've still got our little breather hole, which is fantastic. Now that breather hole, there's not a lot of it left, but we'll try it as it is, and as I said before, I could run a tiny little sort of 0.5 mil drill bit through there, or open it out with a little needle file if necessary, but that will go now screwed to the top of my fuel tank, and that should clip straight onto the top of it. So now I'll go and attach this bit to the end of the hose and see what happens. Okay, so here we've got a remote fuel tank which I've got from another engine, and as you can see I've just pushed the adapter into the end of there. I cut off the original connection and just shoved that one straight in. In the fullness of time I will put a little Jubilee clip round there, but I didn't just have one. Now here we have my trusty and faithful 40 featherweight Seagull. That's the fuel cap that was on it. I've just taken that one out, and I'm going to replace that with my modified one. As you can see, that just screws straight in. Next job is to take the adapter off there and plug that straight on, and then we've got the inline bulb there, which we'll just give that a few squeezes, fill that tank up. This can sit in the cockpit or wherever, out of the way, and every half hour or whatever I can just give a few more squeezes and top up my tank on my Seagull. And this engine's been modified to run on 25:1, so it's had a new needle put in the carb. carb's all been cleaned, all the water chambers have been cleaned out, the ignition's all been cleaned and everything. It's all been reset, the points have been reset and cleaned, and it's super duper reliable, as all two-strokes are if they're well maintained. It's cheap to run, and anything goes wrong with it I can fix it almost immediately. So not only that, but now it's got a much longer range. I also have a Seagull Silver Century on the back of my yacht, so should I need to, I can easily just replace the modified fuel cap onto the Century and utilise that system on there. So nice and easy. Anyway, I hope this has been some use. So if you have any questions, well, ask them. But you know, we'll see how we get on.